first I'll tell you, we have Project
we do.
Afterlife
Yes.
in studio with us. Project Afterlife Rogue on Facebook for anyone who's like, that sounds familiar. But yes, we have 4 guests in studio, so if we could go around and introduce ourselves, that would be terrific.
Okay, my name is Todd Shalat. I am one of the founders of Project Afterlife, also tech specialist and audio specialist.
My name is Jacqueline Davio. I'm a co-founder with Todd Shalat. I am one of the lead investigators. Well, we're all lead investigators. I do a lot of the spiritual healings, and I do a lot of the cleansings.
My name's Maddie Young, part of Project Afterlife. I don't really have a special part.
We're all special.
I have a lot of like sensitivity to a lot of the things that happen, but.
And I'm Barb Young. I'm the end of Project Afterlife here. I'm empathic and sensitive. I'm not a medium by any means, but just love being part of the team. And
Now, number one, you guys are from Cleveland area? And you're down here in Wadsworth today. Of course, our friend Peggy Pogan. And after here, you're going to go up and do some stuff up at WCTV. So you're kind of on the media tour, so to speak, in Wadsworth. And again, so welcome to Wadsworth. Is your first time down here, or?
No.
We were actually here last year. Jackie did an interview with Peggy.
Yeah, I've published a few books, and she did a show on my books. So we were down there, had a great time, and we're glad to be back.
I feel like we could spend hours, maybe days, weeks talking to you. And so my brain is reeling like, oh my gosh, Tina, you need to, hit on some great things. One of the things I wanted to, I don't know. I know you have so many stories, but do you have one do any of these stories ever spook you? Like anything you ever encounter or hear? Have you ever gotten like really spooked? And if so, can you share a most memorable moment or highlight?
Okay, I got one. Of course, we got a lot of them, but it's you may get spooked momentarily, but then it all of a sudden turns into excitement, because then first thing that hits your mind is disbelief. Did I really see what I just had seen? But I'll get into an experience I had at Waverly Hills, and that's in Kentucky. Well-known haunted location. You see it on all the TV shows. But we were setting up our DVR cameras. I was up on the 3rd floor, and I was radioing back to base. Is this angle right, that angle right? Once I got the cameras all set up, I turned around, looked down this hallway, and one of the known hauntings there is what they call the creeper. And it's an apparition that's about 3 to 4 feet high. I saw it, and all of a sudden there's that split second of fear turned into excitement, and then that little bit of doubt. Why I immediately ran down the hallway because it's a big building, anybody could be in there. And that's one thing I always keep in mind when doing these big, very large buildings is somebody in there, giving us false data, but I couldn't find anybody. At that point in time, when I realized that there was actually nobody there, that's when the hair stood up on the back of my neck. And I'm like, this is going to be a good night.
Well, you got the goosebumps going for me. Yeah. I know it's easy to do, but you take me there. Well, can I ask a question before we get into the next story? Sometimes people who see or feel things or ghosts or something paranormal, I've heard, or wondered, how do you keep that away from you, from coming with you if it's a bad thing? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Any location we go to, generally we'll say a prayer before we go in, and we will also say a prayer when we leave. And we'll ask them, we enjoy our time with you, but we appreciate it if you stay here, kind of go through that whole type of thing.
Yeah. And I know Peggy, we were chatting off air a little bit here when Peggy was here doing a couple of shows in some of the buildings or whatever. I mean, she was very cognizant of that on entry and leaving, that same type of procedure. I know that's she did that as well. And I appreciate it.
I firmly believe if we are well grounded, and I only believe this because this is what I've been told. I've been approached by a lot of psychic mediums that say, you're so well grounded, it's ridiculous. And I think that, or I know that also protects us. Another thing, a lot of people carry certain stones. I actually have it on me right now. I have a St. Michael medallion. Do I really need it? Part of me says no, but the other part of me says better safe than sorry. So we all protect ourselves in our own way. The main thing we have to remember is that, our willpower is what keeps us strong. And, a lot of times all you have to do is say, if there is an entity here, any type of spirit, you're not allowed to follow me home. I mean, we're in charge of our lives in what we do. So, it may sound mean, but to me, somebody that if somebody does have an attachment, they've allowed it. Okay. Moving on.
Well, I could tell you guys a story where I scared a spirit instead of me being scared by a spirit.
Yes,
Wow.
do share.
Okay, we were in an abandoned hospital in Lorena, Ohio. It had gotten to be late at night. Sometimes it gets a little boring towards the end, so we were kind of goofing off a little bit. We were in the emergency room, and they still had the curtains. So I pulled a curtain back, and I said, well, if anyone's in here, yell my name so I can hear you. And then I saw a little boy between probably the ages, I'll say between 6 and 7, maybe 8 at the oldest. He was peeking around the corner. So my first and he was pointing his finger at me like he was laughing at me, like, what an idiot. What are you doing? And so I saw him and I ran after him, but then he ran away. So I felt bad. I was like, I'm sorry, I scared you. I just want to talk to you.
I was gonna say you seemed so excited.
Yeah. So
Maybe he wanted to play hide and seek. No, was that?
and we've had a lot of interaction with him at this location. So in that general area, that's become a hot spot of that location.
What do you make of him? Was there any story that could have fit what you're seeing?
We had found out, well, being a hospital, of course, that was the emergency room. Of course, there's been deaths. We had also found out later on down the line that previously to the hospital being there, it used to be an orphanage, so in the same location. So it's really hard to say. Spirits can go anywhere. Why they're attached to that area, we don't know. I would like to know.
Are the images like, and again, maybe they're different. That's a part of the whole question here. Are they more of are they a spirit, kind of a see-through image? Are there some that looks like you're sitting right by me? Are they hard images or soft, or what?
From what I've
the different
experienced,
ranges?
from the ones I've seen, because I've seen quite a few. The boy, he looked like, the best way I could describe is watching black and white television. You could make out the characteristics, but there was no coloration to him.
Okay.
It was gray, but there was different shades of the gray. So I could tell that he had darker hair. I could tell he had overalls on. I could tell he had a flannel shirt on, but it was just different shades of gray.
When you encounter something like that, do they typically, so this little boy at the hospital, the shadowed figure, does it always mean that location is where something happened to them, or could he have come from, I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but like California and somehow decided to be here? Do the spirits typically, when you see them, something originated in that place where they are?
Well, a possibility, yeah. I think a lot of times people, too, in the building can bring spirits to them. So just say, Barb's from Conneaut and she goes to Wadsworth. She might have a spirit that wants to communicate with her. So it might be with her in here today. I mean, we might have something in here right now.
Do we have to say that prayer?
Yeah.
No. Spirit, I think after we pass away, we become limitless. So traveling is just a thought. So we can go there just by the power of thought.
And and again, from a different scientific aspect or whatever, people will, is this real? Does it happen or whatever? Well, a physicist will tell you energy is neither created nor destroyed. If there's a bullet setting here, there's potential energy in it. Once it's fired, it is distributed. Your bodies are energy. Once you pass away, that energy, just like it goes somewhere. So, just because we don't understand where it goes or what form it is, it didn't go away. It's in a different form. So there's not, it's like, oh, is this, well, yeah, it's real. That energy went somewhere. And part of this is understanding where that energy went, what it is, what forms it could take.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think that's really cool because science and spirituality is coming to agreement on that, and it's becoming more so than the last 100 years or whatever. They're becoming like science agrees a soul does leave the body at the time of death. I mean, Harvard has even done studies where they weigh a person right before death and then right after, and it's just like a fraction of an ounce difference, but they say that there's actual something that leaves your body.
And again, however you want to term that, whether it's the soul, it's energy, or whatever. I mean, the soul is energy. So whatever big umbrella you want to throw over that, whatever your beliefs may be, there's still that there's still that undeniable. There's something different. There's something that happened here.
Absolutely.
Can we ask you two ladies if you want to share a story, or if you don't have one that you want to share, if you want to talk about what you'll be talking about on our TV station in town? We can do either one.
The biggest thing that's happened to me actually happened the beginning of this year. It was at Madison Seminary. It's in Madison, Ohio. We were doing flashlight tours. We volunteer there sometimes. And up on the third floor, it's called the Asylum. It used to be used for psychiatric patients, and it's where the worst ones would go. And recently I've been trying to learn how to control my sensitivity and to understand it a little better. And when we were upstairs, we were just investigating afterwards, and I was standing there and I started hearing voices. I could feel people touching me. I could feel breathing on me, and it was one of those things I was trying to speak and try to say, I need to get out of here. But it was I just could hear my voice in my head over and over trying to get my mom's attention. I'm like, we need to go. And I couldn't talk. And luckily she saw me, and I don't even remember her coming up to me. I just remember being back downstairs and feeling fine. And it's always been Madison Seminary that those crazy things have happened. The first thing that ever happened to me that really brought me into wanting to investigate more was on that same floor I got scratched. And I think it might have been from a child, because it was 10 little distinct scratches just around the front of my leg.
It was like they didn't want her to leave.
Yeah, you know how kids sit on your foot and they kind of hold you? It was kind of like that. It kind of felt like that. There was a kid that didn't want me to leave, and when I walked away.
Visible marks.
Yeah, I can show you a picture later if you'd like. I have, yeah.
I'm goosebumped. I was just recently goosebumped from hair, literally, including my face to toe, by watching the show Manifest, and you just did it again. I don't know that I've ever felt like I've had them completely everywhere. Right?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. It was one of those things, like he said, it was like a fear, and then once I thought about it, it was more of a kind of more of an opening where I need to kind of try and better learn how to understand, because when I took it as a fear thing, it could be them just trying to talk to me. And that's what I want to learn, is how to talk to them and understand better.
Are you Mom?
I am Mom.
Okay.
She's an EMT, and I think when we were on the tours that night, it got brought up. And I know they used to pass out their medications in the hallway we were in, so I almost wonder, did they get that vibe from her? Did they go to her for some sort of help where she's not sure how to take what she was feeling? But...
Do you think this is a gift you passed down?
Could be. She's more sensitive than me. I'm sensitive. I'll get the heebie-jeebies when something's going on, that kind of thing. But she definitely, you see more too. So she's definitely got.
Interesting.
Is it a skill that can be, or a gift that can be learned or developed, or can I'm saying if someone's interested in it and it's like, well, I've never had any kind of experience like that, I don't know, can it be developed and brought out?
My opinion is I feel everybody is a sensitive in some right or the other. As we're growing up, and if we have an experience as a child, we naturally tell our parents about it. What do they tell us? It's our imagination. Okay, right. And that's what got me actually into the paranormal field. Was I had experiences as a child. I'd tell my mom, and she'd of course say it's your imagination. Well, it dawned on me one day, if this was really my imagination, why is it still so vivid in my mind? Why are the details there? And so that's what that's why I feel that everybody has this ability. I think as we get older, we're programmed to think that certain things are our imagination, that our mind or our eyes are playing tricks on us, and so we fall away from that. So it's something that if I feel anybody can develop this if taught by the right person, mentored by the right person, whatever, however you want to put it. But yeah, I just feel everybody has that possibility. It's covered up by words like gut feeling. I mean, that's
Intuition.
Your mind. Intuition,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, that's my take on the whole thing. It's just how we choose to develop it.
Do you feel any of, you mentioned, Barb, am I right? Okay, that you are an empath? Are you that way with living people
Yes.
as well? So you really feel what they feel.
As I'm learning this, we used to go to Walmart as a family together, and I would go to Walmart, and I honestly would almost have an anxiety attack. Because basically you're absorbing other people's energy, and I just can't handle a lot of contact when there's a lot going on. I have to leave. I have to walk out. Yeah, you definitely
I don't
you
go
pick
in
up
there
on
either.
people's emotions, so you definitely feel that for sure.
Since I became I'm a Reiki master now, so I've learned how to turn it off and on. So that's
Ooh,
a good.
yes, teach me.
I need to know too.
It's taken a while, so I can learn energy. I work in the medical field as well, so I can pretty much tell what a patient's feeling or what I'm about to be faced with when they walk in. But it's something I've learned to turn on and off.
So if we were to put you on the spot right now, and feel free to say, no, it's off, I'm not doing this right now. What is the energy you get when you come into the studio?
Well, I get a good vibe, but I'm with my crew. So when the four of us are together, our vibe, I think that's why we get so much good evidence and data is because we just have we have a good mojo together. Our vibration's high when we work together. So I think spirit can see that as well, and they're like, "Oh, those are good people. Let's go talk to them." So I felt very uplifted coming in here today.
Oh, I love that. Now, I'm going to assume that most, if not all of you, have actually heard something that some people would say can't be explained. Do you have any examples or places in which around here maybe that you have heard something? And they're called
Here, I'll let Todd explain that. He's
Oh,
our
you're
tech
talking
guy.
about, okay. Well, if it's, I'm sorry.
you tell me all the stuff you hear. I'm down with that.
If you hear something with the naked ear, that's the theory on that is a disembodied voice. The chances of that, to our experience and the knowledge that I've gained over the years, is that it's not going to happen that often. It's very, very far and few between that happening. EVPs, or electronic voice phenomenons, that's a lot of the data that we capture the most, and we capture that on audio recorders. We also we use something else to back up that audio. We don't rely on one piece of data. We always try to mix things up. But we've heard actually quite a few. We've had a good couple years, the last couple years. It's not like TV. You don't get stuff boom, boom, boom like that. I mean, I wish it was, but it's just not that way. But we've been most successful, I believe, our last 2 years on capturing audio files.
And any place in Medina County in particular that comes to mind?
Not at this point in time. I mean, we're always looking for places to investigate. We mainly do private residences, so people are contacting us. When we do a place like Prospect Place, Madison Seminary, Mansfield Reformatory, that's more like a field trip for us.
Now, when you do those residences or whatever, are people looking for a solution to what they assume is a problem? Are they looking to you to cleanse the house of that spirit, or they sometimes is it just a curiosity?
You know how you
a
see
validation.
the exorcism type
Yeah.
thing? I something like that. Are they looking to clear something out or see if they're is something.
It's kind of all of the above.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we don't do exorcisms.
Yeah, no, I know that, but that's what I meant is if they're calling you to come in
To solve
and
an issue, right?
We pride ourselves on the way we do home investigations, because most teams go in and they just look for data, and then if they find it, they're done. They're like, okay, yeah, you have something here. So the homeowner's like, okay, now what? Usually they do just want confirmation that they're not crazy. So that's why they call us in. But when we do an investigation, we collect the data. We review it diligently. We do a cleansing with sage, and then I also do a spiritual Reiki healing on the clients as well. So we just give them the whole 360. You know, we want to cover all bases, make sure they're happy, feel comfortable, and safe in their own home.
Do you ever have anyone who, after you've come in and investigated, who is like, and you give them data and there's something there, are they ever like, I'm out? You know, I don't want to be here. It's too much for me. And then if so, is something like that, does that have to be disclosed for selling the home?
I think by law, the only thing that has to be disclosed is if somebody has passed away in the house within I think it's like 3 to 5 years, something like that. We've had cases to where we've had to go in and kind of fix things because, there are a lot of paranormal teams out there, and I'm not going to knock them. You know, they do their thing, but there are a lot of them that are out there for the thrills. There are a lot to try to make money off of this. We don't charge anything for an investigation. We're not professionals. There's no degree for what we do. You know, there's no special training. It's all experience. It's years and years of experience. So for the most part, people just want validation of what they're experienced. I'm sorry, I got off beat with the question there. What was the main focus of?
Just
If anyone's had to leave.
yeah,
the
if
home.
anyone has wanted to leave.
When you found out. Yeah.
We've never and we will never recommend that somebody leave their home. It's their house. They have the power. If there is something really bad going on, they have that power, to take that house back. Mm-hmm. All of our cases, regardless of what we do, what other teams do, the end result all depends on the client, because they need to bring that inner strength forth to take their house back.
And again, I think that's a miseducation, misconception,
Yeah.
or whatever, because it's like if there's a spirit here, I'm heading down the street. I'm changing zip codes. I'm not in control of this, but in effect, you are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Honestly, though, you have to fear the living more than the dead.
Yeah.
Watch the news.
Yeah.
This world is scary. When these ghosts are in your people's homes, it's usually grandma or grandpa coming in and say, "I miss you. I love you. I'm here." And people get that they misunderstand. They get scared because maybe they got a gentle touch on their shoulder when actually it was a compassionate touch saying, "I love you." So I'm more afraid of the living. I'm more afraid to walk down the street in Cleveland at night than to go into a haunted, empty, dark building. Really.
So, can I ask a question? My grandmother passed away at 93 years old in 2016. 2 years before that, she ended up with dementia. But before that, say 5 years ago, my grandfather passed away when I was in 5th grade. So she went many years without him being with her. When she was living with my parents before the nursing home, she would often say, "Cindy, can you turn that music down?" And my mom's like, "Mom, there's no music on." She's like, "I keep hearing Hawaiian music," which was her and my grandpa. They went there, I think, 10 times. They visited Hawaii, and so she kept hearing Hawaiian music, and it was...
That's sweet.
What does that mean?
I lost my son in 2015, and he gives me, that's what Todd and I speak a lot about, confirmations from our loved ones, and music is definitely one of them. My son gives me heads up dimes all the time, and cardinals, and actually on the way here we had 2 cardinals fly in front of the car, and I said, "Oh, look, Todd, it's going to be a good day." So music is definitely one of the confirmations we get from our loved ones from the other side. That's just letting us know that they're okay. They're still with us, and it gives me hope. It gives me something to look forward to, you know. So I'm sure that was comforting for your grandmother, and it made her think of her husband, I'm sure, immediately.
And for my mom, this is so funny. My mom is the one out of all of us who wanted a sign when her dad died.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted it. My brother got one. My grandma got one. I got one. She didn't.
That's what we tell people sometimes too. Sometimes you're just too eager for it that you almost push it away.
Or overlook things.
Yeah, you
we overlook things. We
definitely
don't open our
overlook
eyes enough,
things.
yeah.
Right.
It's almost like what I say with visitation dreams. Usually, it's like they've tried to get your attention so many times, and they're like, "Hello, I'm right here." That they actually have to wait till you're sleeping to go into your unconscious mind to talk to you. You know, so everyone is with us. Our loved ones are always with us. They're cheering us on. They see all our accomplishments. They're with us for every sorrow, every joy. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, once you open your eyes spiritually to what is really around us, your whole life changes.
And I believe that's why people mistaken, hauntings. They think they're haunted, but they don't realize that it's a family member that's actually coming to visit us.
It's a hug.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, Barb has a good experience when her dad passed away.
Yeah, my dad passed away in 2014, and the week after that, the day he passed away, he always had a Hershey's tin with all his dark chocolate kisses in it, and
Amen.
of course she grabbed that.
Smart man.
So that week after he passed, she went back to school. My husband was at work. I was at my dining room table on my laptop, probably farting around on Facebook, whatever. Well, I just got really overwhelmed with grief about Dad, and I just bust out in tears, and I slammed my hands down on the table, and I'm like, dang, there is no chocolate in this house. And right when I did that, it was like he went on the top of that tin she brought home. So it was like Dad was letting me know, yeah, there's chocolate right here. So that was a good thing.
So neat. Yeah. So many things that either can or can't be explained depending on how you look at it, and maybe even how you want to interpret it. This has been a really fun interview.